Hi folks, so are we heading towards a recession in the US? I think we are. Look at the figures. Credit card debt now amounts to almost $1 trillion. Mortgage credit, it's now growing at a pace that's similar to the years leading up to 2007, 2008, the big financial crisis. And 70% of US households today would not be able to meet 1 month's worth of living expenses if their main source of income was suddenly to dry up. How did we get here? Well, it's no mystery. During the lockdown years, during the COVID period, we saved money. Of course, we couldn't spend money anywhere, so we saved it. But after that, we began to spend money like drunken soldiers. The government handed out money directly or indirectly through various means. Stimulus, loan forbearance, tax credits, you name it. So we spent money like crazy, and then we ran out of money. And of course, we began to take up loans and take up more loans and even more loans. Of course, the environment was very conducive to that because interest rates were ridiculously low, unrealistically low. They were totally suppressed. But of course, now we find ourselves up to here in debt and we no longer have very low interest rates. They're not as high as they should be actually, but they're high. They're much higher now than they were when we took up most of those loans. So we're heading towards a recession now. We're going to have bankruptcies. We're going to have unemployment. We're going to have what you typically have when you have a recession. In fact, parts of the economy are already there. For them, it's actually a very bad taste joke to tell them that we're going to head into a recession or we're heading into a recession. No, for them, we already are in a recession. But in any case, I think it's important to learn the lesson. We have politicians now telling the Federal Reserve, and we're going to hear this increasingly, to stop rate hikes. As if rate hikes were the cause of where we are today. No. The cause lies in the years prior to that. The Federal Reserve started hiking rates about a year ago, a bit more than a year ago. But the causes go back a lot more than that. In fact, 4 decades of low interest rates, of suppressed interest rates, of artificially low interest rates have taken us to where we are. So now we have to learn again the lessons that we were supposed to have learned a long time ago. Think back a few decades, early 1980s. Paul Volcker, you must have heard of him, the hero of the US economy. He was no hero. He was just a common sense guy. He was the head of the chairman of the Federal Reserve back then. And so he inherited stagflation, inflation and stagnation. And then he decided to be realistic, to face reality, rather than to continue to live in la-la land. And so he began to hike rates, he began to take some tough measures. And then by 1986, of course, everybody loved him. The US economy was booming. Growth, prosperity were all over the place. But it took some tough medicine to get there. People forget. After some of the policies were implemented, the US went through unemployment, through a recession, through some tough times, through some pain. There was no choice. And we are in a very similar situation now, in the sense that we have no choice, whatever those politicians tell you in the months leading up to the primaries and then to the general election. So don't listen to them. We have no choice. We will head into a recession, into a full recession, whether we hike rates or we don't. But there's 2 ways of facing this. And I prefer the right way. I prefer the realistic way. Because if we do the wrong thing now, we will not only not avoid a recession, but we will incubate further crises along the road, much worse than the current one. So don't listen to them and do the right thing.